In this video, we are starting a new section, section 14.0, and we're going to do the problem double all. Alright, so I have the file downloaded and opened up in Racket. So let's just look for the problem statement, problem A. So notice how the data design steps are done. Alright, so they're all checked off here. So let's just review them. So we have a data definition. List of numbers is one of either empty or cons number list of numbers. So we're dealing with self-reference. Interpretation, it's a list of numbers, and here's a number list containing 2 and 5, and a template. Alright, so write a function double all that consumes a list of numbers and doubles every number in that list. For example, double all cons 2 on the cons 5 empty produces cons 4 on the cons 10 empty. So this 2 doubles to 4, and this 5, if you double that, you get 10. Okay. So finish the uncompleted function design steps 1 through 5 above. Alright, so try to do these steps for the design of double all. Alright, pause the video. I'm going to go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing at it. So now let's go over it together. So as always, we start off with the signatures. So double all consumes a list of number and produces a list of number. Next is the purpose, so produces the given list of numbers with every number doubled. Alright, so next is the stub, so double all consumes a number list. Num list is what I decide to name the variable, and this has to produce a list of numbers at the end of the day. So let's just produce the empty list, right? It is one of these list of numbers, like so, right? Alright. Now let's write some examples. Check, expect. So we're going to say double all of the empty list, right? What should this produce? Well, there are no numbers in this list, right? But we have to produce a list at the end of the day. And a list of numbers is one of these two. So let's just produce the empty list. All right. That's a good base case. So check, expect double all. Let's say a list with one number in it. So let's do, 3, right? 3 empty. What should this produce? Well, this should produce the number 6, right? A list containing the number 6. Okay. All right, let's do one more example. So check, expect double all, and let's just copy and paste this example that they gave us actually. So this list, doubling this list with 2 elements long, cons 2 on the cons 5 empty, should produce cons 4 on the cons 10 empty. All right. Cons 4 on the cons 10 empty, because 2, double 2, you get 4, double 5, you get 10. And I'm going to space these down so that we can see these 2 and 2. We can see these like in 2 separate lines much more easily, right? This should produce this. Likewise, this should produce this. All right, much more easier to see. Now let's just run our stub against our examples. We just get mismatches. Actual value differs from this, but that's fine. Okie dokie, gonna comment this out. Like so. Is there something that consumes a list of numbers? That is a template that we can use as a scaffold. Yes, there is. We're going to copy this down. And we're going to rename double all like so. Okay. Now really pause the video. Hopefully this should be all the mental scaffolding needed to solve the problem. Spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, I'm assuming that you guys took a good swing at it, so now let's go over it together. So looking at our base case here, right, if we consume an empty list, we should just produce an empty list, right? So that's the base case, like so. Alright, now comes the harder part, right? So what should the combinator be? Well, we have to produce a list at the end of the day according to the signature. And the only way we know how to do that is with cons, right? So looking at the data definition also gives us a hint, right? So we have to do a cons here. All right, so that gets that out of the way. Hit Control I to indent. So looking at this example here, right, how do we turn this 2 into a 4 and this 5 into a 10? And likewise, this 3 into a 6, right? Well, we want to double the number. So this is going to be times first of the num list 2, right? So that should double the number. And now we have to trust that it works on the doubling of the rest of the list, right? We want to cons the doubling of the number onto double all of the rest of the list. And we just trust that it fulfills the purpose statement like so. If we run this code, all the tests should pass, and so they do. So now let's just comment out these first two tests and focus on stepping through the most complicated test here, all right? The last test with two numbers, right? This test right here. And let's step through it and see how it works at a mechanical level. So I'm going to run my stepper here, all right? All right, so these empties just turn into parentheses, quotes, quote parentheses, parentheses, the same thing. All right, so we're at our first call to double all of cons2, 5 empty. So it expands to this cond. All right, is this list empty? No, there's a 2 and a 5 in there, so that equals false. So we're going to take the else branch, which just has a cons in it, and we're going to do cons first of 2, 5 empty. So taking the first of this list is just 2. We're going to double that to just be 4, so 2 times 2 is 4. All right, and we're going to call double all on the rest of the list, right? The rest of the list in this case, right, cons2, 5 empty is just cons 5 empty. And we're going to call double all on that, all right? So is this list empty? Expands to that cond, right? No, there's a 5 in this list, so that equals false. All right, so we're going to take the else branch, like so, and it's just a cons, where we take the first of the list, which is a 5 now, we multiply 5 times 2, right, like so, which equals 10, and then we're going to call double all again on the rest of this list, right? Cons 5 empty, which is just the empty list, all right? So we're going to call double all on the empty list, which expands to this cond. And is this list empty? Yeah, there's nothing in this list. It's finally empty. So we produce true, and we produce this empty base case here. All right, and we get cons 4 on the cons 10 empty does equal cons 4 on the cons 10 empty. All right, and this empty, of course, just expands to that, like so, to make it look more similar. But these two are really much the same. All right, so they equal each other, and check expect passes that test, and that is the mechanical steps of how double all works. All right, so now let me just quickly table this out of cons 4, right, cons 2 and a cons 5 empty. Let me put it in the bird's eye view format. All right, so this is step 0. This is the start of the list. Is the list empty? No. All right, the first of this list is 2. All right, the double of the first of the list, right? First of the list times 2 wrapped around this times 2 expression is 4. And in this case, the rest of this list is cons 5 empty, like so. All right, and now we're going to do a recursion. So we're in the first step of the recursive call. Is this list empty? No, there's a 5 in this list, like so. What is the first of this list? Well, it's a 5, so like so. What is times first of the list 2? Well, this is the first of the list, and we multiply that by 2. We get 10. And then what is the rest of this list, right? Of this list? Well, it's empty. So I'm going to paste that in. And then we're going to do another recursive call. And this will be the state of that list. So we're at the second recursive call. Right, is this list empty? Yeah, it's finally empty, right? So it's true. This would be an error, but the value, right? Yeah, this would be an error actually. And likewise, this would also be an error. And same with this. Right, but the value here, in this case, is going to be the empty list though. I'm going to put base case empty, right? Just so that we can see all the values in one row, in one column. Right, actually it should be here because we're using the double of every number, right? So 4, 10, empty, and we figured out that we need to cons all these together, like so. So that was the combinator, and that is the bird's eye view of double all. All right, so just hand this in and make sure that it passes the test. Ignore that error. It should work on your machine, and make sure it passes the server-side tests that I wrote for the grader. Anyways, that is about it for this one, and I will catch you in the next one.